The system doesn't need to force you to stay broke. It doesn't need to lock a door. It doesn't need to take your money directly. It doesn't need guards or gates or obvious barriers. It just needs to keep you dependent, financially dependent on your employer, on your debt, on the next paycheck, on institutions that profit from your need for them every single month. There are 7 specific ways it does this. Most people are caught in at least 4 of them right now, without knowing it, without having chosen it. Today, we name all 7, and for each one, we show you the exit.
The first way is the most fundamental. You are paid just enough to need the next paycheck. This is not an accident. The relationship between wages and cost of living has been carefully calibrated over decades, not to give you surplus, not to give you the ability to walk away, but to give you just enough to stay functional and just enough need to keep you showing up. Research consistently shows that the majority of people across income levels live paycheck to paycheck. This is not a low-income problem. People earning 6 figures live paycheck to paycheck because the system expands what normal costs to match whatever you earn. Lifestyle inflation is not a personal failure. It is a designed feature. The moment your income rises, rent rises, expectations rise, social costs rise. The gap between what you earn and what you need stays deliberately narrow. The exit is the gap. Finding it, protecting it, and putting it somewhere it grows before the system absorbs it. Automate the gap before you can spend it. Even if the gap is small, the gap is your freedom.
The second way is debt. Not occasional debt, structural debt. Debt that is designed to never fully end. The average person carries multiple forms of debt simultaneously. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, personal loans, mortgages. Each one individually seems manageable. Together, they create a net of obligation that requires your full income to maintain. This is the debt loop. You work to service debt. The debt keeps you working. The working keeps you too busy and too tired to examine the loop. And the loop keeps running. The system profits from every month you remain in it. Banks collect interest. Lenders collect fees. The economy collects your labor. Labor made necessary by the debt that requires it. The exit is attacking debt in order of interest rate. Highest first. Not the largest balance, the highest rate. Every dollar above the minimum payment on your highest rate debt is a dollar escaping the loop. It is slow, it is not dramatic, but it is the only mathematical exit that exists.
The third way is the retirement system. You were told, work for 40 years, contribute to a pension, and at 65, you will rest. Here is what that promise actually looks like in practice. The retirement age in most countries has been steadily rising. It will continue to rise because the system that promised you rest at 65 was designed when life expectancy was significantly lower. You were not supposed to collect for very long. Meanwhile, the cost of retirement has exploded. Healthcare, housing, inflation mean that the amount required to actually retire comfortably is far beyond what most pension systems deliver. The result? Most people cannot actually retire at 65. They work longer. They depend on systems that were not designed to fully support them. They spend their healthiest decades building wealth for employers and their least healthy decades trying to survive on what remained. The exit is not trusting the system's retirement plan as your only plan. It is building parallel income, investments, assets, skills that generate money without requiring your physical presence. Starting now, not at 55.
The fourth way is the tax system. You pay a higher effective tax rate than most millionaires. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the documented structure of modern tax law. Here is why. Income from labor, your salary, is taxed at the highest rates. Income from capital, dividends, capital gains, investment returns, is taxed at significantly lower rates. The wealthy earn primarily through capital. You earn primarily through labor. The result? A person earning $60,000 in salary pays a higher effective rate than a person earning $600,000 through investments. The system was written this way by legislators who are themselves capital owners, who benefit from the structure they created. The exit is understanding that the tax code is not neutral. It rewards capital ownership. So the path is to become a capital owner, however small, as quickly as possible. Every dollar invested is a dollar moving toward the lower taxed category. This is not cheating. It is using the system's own rules.
The fifth way is housing. You are given 2 options: rent and be told you're throwing money away, or buy and spend 30 years paying a mortgage that costs you 2.5 times the home's price.
Both options were presented as your choice. Neither was presented as what it actually is, a system designed to ensure that your largest monthly expense always flows towards someone else's wealth. Renters build their landlord's equity. Mortgage holders build the bank's interest income for the first decade before they build meaningful equity of their own. In both cases, the system captures the majority of your housing dollar. The exit is not a simple one. Housing is genuinely complex. But understanding that both options serve the system more than they serve you changes how you approach the decision. It means optimizing aggressively within whichever option you choose, paying extra on principal, house hacking, building equity faster than the standard schedule assumes.
The sixth way is the education system. You were told, get a degree. It is the path to a good life. Do not ask how much it costs. Do not calculate the return on investment. Just get the degree. The student loan industry was built on this instruction. Trillions of dollars of debt carried by people who took it on before they were old enough to fully understand what they were signing, at interest rates that ensure repayment will take decades, for degrees that the economy does not always value at their cost. The exit is treating education as an investment with an expected return. Before taking on educational debt, calculate what the degree is likely to earn you. Calculate how long repayment will take. If the math does not work, the system has a cheaper path: certifications, trade skills, self-directed learning in high-demand fields. The credential matters less than the capability it is supposed to represent. The seventh way is inflation. Inflation is the one financial force that works against you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether you are awake or asleep, whether you are working or resting. At 7% annual inflation, money sitting in a zero-interest account loses half its purchasing power in 10 years without a single dollar being spent. The money is there, the value is not. This is the inflation tax. It was not voted on. It was not explained in school. It is the hidden cost of doing nothing with your money, of believing that keeping it safe means keeping it still. The system benefits from inflation in multiple ways. Governments reduce the real value of their debts. Banks profit from the spread between inflation and savings rates. Asset owners who hold things that appreciate with inflation grow wealthier. Cash holders, which is most people, grow quietly poorer. The exit is owning things that inflation cannot erode. Index funds, real estate, skills, businesses, anything that appreciates alongside or faster than inflation. The exit from the inflation tax is not complicated, but it requires action, and the system profits from your inaction. 7 ways, 7 traps, 7 exits. None of the traps required your consent. They were in place before you were born. They were presented as normal, as inevitable, as simply how things work. They are not inevitable. They are designed, and designs can be understood, navigated, and in some cases, escaped. You will not escape all 7 overnight. Nobody does. But understanding all 7, seeing the full architecture of dependence, changes every financial decision you make from this point forward. Because you are no longer making decisions inside a system you cannot see. You are making decisions about a system you now understand. That is the difference between financial dependence and financial agency. Nobody told you the system had 7 specific mechanisms designed to keep you dependent. Now, somebody did.